We have just wrapped up the final press conference for Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards. I thought the face-to-face with Haney Prograis might have been a record. Might have broken that today.
I couldn't get him to stop. Sonny goes, I'm not looking away. I'll stay here till the weigh-in tomorrow. Bam goes, me too. I'm like, I'm doing this one in the middle, which normally breaks the stare. Then I've had to get in front of him. Then when I did, Bam came back, and it was like, it's the first time really we've seen any emotion from Bam Rodriguez. A guy who had a look in his eyes as if to say, my God, I want to tear you to pieces on Saturday. And Sonny will probably like that. Sonny probably wants that. He wants him to be aggressive. He'll want him to try and fall in and make mistakes. But you're talking about two elite guys. And it was a fantastic face-to-face and just builds up for what is one of the fights of the year.
Do you think them not wanting to break that face-to-face was shades of Fury Klitschko in the sauna?
I don't know, it's mad that you've got two very, very tough guys that, get up there and it comes down to who looks away first, and it's the battlegrounds, it's all about the edges. It's all about the psychological advantage and things that, I think things like that matter more to some people than others, but Sonny, like Tyson Fury in the sauna, thinks that it gains him an edge in the fight, and Bam might say, like, whatever, or he might think that he lost an edge in the fight, I don't know, but what you saw certainly is the first kind of emotions from Bam Rodriguez, and it's a massive night. It's a massive fight. You're not going to see two guys just remain quiet for the whole build-up. And that was the first time Sonny's had him face-to-face and really stuck it on him. And Bam fired back.
You keep calling this, Eddie, a fight fan's fight. What do you mean by that?
What I mean is that the flyweight division won't always get the attention of the casual fan. So when I talk about a fight fan's fight, it's too good to call it a trade fight. But the reality is that all fight fans know how good this fight is. Now, it's our job to try and reach out to the casual fan, the man on the street, and educate them about how good this fight is. But it's very difficult to do with two guys who are 8 stone. One thing we always chase in the sport of boxing is the best v the best. And not the best v the best when they're at the back end of their career or when they're 32, 33. You've got a 24-year-old and a 27-year-old. One's number 1, one's number 2. I don't know which order. Both are undefeated. Both are world champions. This is the kind of fight that you do last of all the other world champions, and they've chosen to do it first. So fight fans recognise that. People who understand the sport, fans here in Phoenix, understand that this is arguably fight of the year. And all we ever want is the best be the best in all sports, but particularly boxing. Now we're getting the best be the best in their absolute prime. And that's why it's a fight fan's fight.
Do you find it disappointing that the Ring Magazine belt's not on the line on Saturday?
Yes. I find it disappointing and I find it quite ridiculous. But I love the Ring Magazine belt. And I've had extensive conversations with him, even last week, to say that it was a very close call. All these governing bodies have their rules, and it's difficult to overturn rules just because something might appear to be right. But I just felt that in this instance, the Ring Magazine is all about the best v the best. There's no, the one point that they made, which I acknowledged from the committee, was that Bam hasn't had the wins at flyweight to necessarily put him there. But let's be honest, he won the vacant world title, he beat Quadras, he is number 1 or number 2. And I said to the Ring Magazine, I think you're making a mistake because everyone knows they're 1 and 2, and they also acknowledged they are the 2 best. But I get it, it's not the end of the world, but I do feel like it was a mistake from the Ring Magazine.
I think it's interesting for the UK team when we come over to see the American shows and soak up the experience, but certainly see the difference in culture and approach from these American fighters, particularly at the press conferences, because Peter McGrail is in there, I think, this weekend, not only in what is a step up on paper in the ring, but also new boxes for him to tick mentally heading into a fight.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, the talent pool in America is a lot deeper than the talent pool in the UK. So when you're fighting a guy who is 6 and 4 or 4 and 7, they are normally a lot better than a fighter with the same record from the UK.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of these Mexican fighters that you've seen. So people like Joe McGrail, they're in tough fights. Peter McGrail, after a really good win last time out, is coming to America to fight a 16 and 1 American, not in his backyard, but still in his country. And he's in deep. And now all of a sudden, Jericho Quinn wants to give it the big one, open his mouth, stick it on him. I love it. Because that's what's going to make Peter McGrail a star. If Peter McGrail steps up on Saturday and stops this kid, beats him up, puts a statement performance, that's the kind of platform, that's the kind of message to fight fans home and away that says this kid's a star. So well done, Jericho Quinn. Well done, Gordie, Russ, almost, with Junaid Bostan. You want a little bit of heat. And we want great fights. And this card is full of great fights. Some are high profile, some are not high profile. But from top to bottom, before the bell and the main card, a lot of really, really competitive stuff.
And for Galal Yafai as well, I know he's obviously got one eye on Saturday's main event. But overall, what was the thinking in bringing all the Brits over?
I think a mixture of obligations to our fighters and also giving the fighters the experience and the platform to go on and become superstars. Galal Yafai, the thought behind him fighting on this card was really, it's the biggest fight in the division, and he wants to fight the winner. Peter McGrail, it was, let's take this kid to America, let's show the world how good he is, let's try and raise his profile, raise his platform before he goes to fight for the world title next year. Junaid, obviously in camp with Sonny and the team, we see him as one of our top prospects, but again, he's fighting an unbeaten American, so it's fantastic. So we can offer things that other people can't offer, which is to fight internationally on big shows, on big platforms. And no one else can do that. You have to ask for a favour. We just do it ourselves. So for these guys, Junaid can go back, with a big win and a big statement. And it's not just about the profile. It's not just about the experience. It's about putting yourself in uncomfortable positions, getting on a plane, making weight, different commissions, walking around an arena full of Americans, fighting an American fighter, being in a changing room you're not quite used to. All of these experiences that you get fighting internationally put you in fantastic stead.
I'm not sure if you could see from the top table the ruckus that was going on. A few slaps going in, a bit of push and a pull, to quote Cole Fox, between Junaid, Bostan and Gordie Russ, but that just builds the anticipation.
Yeah, we never want to see that.
No.
I think that it's one thing talking up there, it should never be carried on, and we don't want this to turn into a YouTube environment, but we also understand that it's the fight game, and when you've got two guys prodding each other, poking each other, two guys making weight, two guys 48 hours away from the biggest moment of their lives, sometimes they're going to get emotional. So glad that security was on point and everyone behaved themselves, get paid on Saturday night and show us what you're made of.
Just a couple of bits elsewhere. IBF 140-pound king Subriel Matias is in town with Kevin Gonzalez. Seeing all over social media the back and forth with Devin Haney and Tank, Conor Benn supposedly in the frame. What's your take on all the events?
Yeah, I mean, Subriel Matias, I think he's a fantastic fighter, real danger man in the 140-pound division. We've got a lot of fights for him. I mean, we've got one man up there, Dalton Smith, who's probably 2 fights away from a fight like that. We got Liam Paro with a great win at the weekend. We got Richardson Hitchens. We got Jack Cattrall. We've got all these guys who we can make those fights with Matias. Of course, he also wants the big fights. I think there's conversations or negotiations with Teofimo Lopez. That's a great fight. Lopez is wild with his expectations. Devin Haney against Matias. Why not? Maybe Regis Prograis coming back and fighting Matias. We've got so many fights for him, so I don't know where he is, but we should go and get a little pretzel or something.
Is Conor Benn, Devin Haney seriously realistic in your mind next?
Listen, Conor Benn messaged me and says, I want Haney. I mean, Conor Benn wants to fight everybody, right? Devin Haney messaged me and said, give me Benn. I was like, where's this come from? Devin Haney wants to move to 147, and we're in talks now with Devin Haney against Conor Benn. Early stages, but because Chris Eubank not wanting that fight on February the 3rd, Conor wants the biggest fight out there. And Devin Haney would be a massive fight. Imagine bringing that fight to the UK. It's a huge fight, but, he wants Boots Ennis, he wants Barros, he wants everybody. So, we're working up against time now. February the 3rd is the date that Conor's expected to fight. Just got to make sure that we get moving and announce that next week.
How's the chat been with your new friends, Jaron Boots Ennis?
Good. I mean, we've been talking to Bozy and everybody for years about a deal. I get Bozy's comments, which is, can Matchroom bring us the other champions? Can anyone bring you the other champions? This is the problem when you're as good as Boots Ennis and you don't have the profile to be able to give those other champions the paydays that the risk warrants. Do you understand? So we need to build Boots Ennis. And it's only a 6 to 12 month period, taking him home in Philadelphia, showing the world what a star he is, getting Big Mouth over here to just go around with a megaphone globally and say this is a pound for pound king of the sport. Because fighters leave it too late. You need to build from the get-go, not when you become a world champion. But we are where we are, and the ceiling for Boots Ennis is extremely high. And if we get that opportunity to do it, there's no one better. But we'll see what he wants to do.
I know you're having meetings with Golden Boy earlier in the week. Do you believe Haney and Ryan Garcia is the easiest to make fight on DAZN and perhaps the biggest of the options?
On DAZN, yeah. I mean, they're never easy to make. Of course, both guys are going to want a huge amount of money for that fight, and deservedly so. It's a massive fight. So if two guys really want the fight, you tend to find a way. I think it's a good fight for Ryan Garcia. You know, I think he should be trying to become a world champion. That fight can get made, and we're going to go through the numbers with Eric Gomez and the team and see where we get to.
We are approaching a massive end to the year and leading into a new one, 2024. What can you tell fight fans about any potential announcements we might be seeing this weekend?
Yeah, there's going to be, you know, as always, we try to announce the schedule as far in advance as we can, and we also try to announce the flagship fights, and with the other everything else sprinkled around it. Sometimes those flagship fights either don't happen or take longer to happen. So we need to get announcing some stuff, particularly in January and February, and that should come this weekend as well. But you know, it's no secret about Joshua Wilder and, you know, Ben against somebody, and Catterall against Taylor, and Katie Taylor against Chantel Cameron, and Leigh Wood against Josh Warrington. These are the fights that we want to make as those flagship moments, with our whole global schedule sprinkled around. So everybody working hard. We've got a meeting now to go through the cards. Every fighter wants to know when they're fighting, and we'll be giving them that news this week.
Just finally, Eddie, I'm not going to say you have a big ego because you're my boss, and I don't want to say that on an interview. But I don't know how long you spent at that DAZN promo. But to be on for 1.5 seconds, were you a bit disappointed?
But people say that ego is important. I mean, you know, I think that if you got the superstar of the promo, you know, I think it's pretty cool just to put him in for 1 second. I mean, the fact that I was there for 8 hours in makeup and in a trailer to actually see the promo and just see one little, you know, puff of a la-di-da and ash into a zombie's mouth. I mean, I was expecting a little bit more, but, you know, there are some big names. I think the biggest problem was that I actually went into makeup 4 times, because every time they tried to make me a zombie, the feedback was I'm not zombie enough. Right. And then after 3 or 4 hours, they just established that being this handsome is just impossible to do. So that might be the reason that my role was cut short in the promo, but what an experience. And those who looked like a zombie actually had a bigger role. So, you know, it comes with the territory. On a serious note, just in case anyone's watching this thinking, what a knob, I'm joking, not really, but it was an unbelievable experience. You know, the promo and being around that kind of investment, that kind of vision, it just lends itself to a massive night next week. And, you know, we can't wait to get out to Saudi Arabia early next week and see the plans of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, and, you know, the card that he's put together. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of fun and games. I think it's going to blow everybody's mind next week, not just the fight card, but the whole experience in Riyadh.
Great stuff, Ed, and bring on the way in tomorrow.
Cheers.